Welcome to Posture Pilates. Welcome, welcome. So the first thing we want to do is pop on our PPE onto your short and your long strap. So if you do that first, make sure you put all your personal belongings into the box provided just at the side of your machine, and just be mindful of others around you in the session today. So Posture Pilates today, we may be using some apparatus that you haven't used before. We're going to use the dowel, aka pole, and you're also going to use your arc. So as you just get your PPE equipment on, so just do that just now while I'm talking to you. We're going to be running through some working on posture quadrants 1 and 2 primarily in this session. So posture quadrants 1 and 2 primarily deal with things like forward head posture. So you may be suffering from tension headaches, it may be neck pain, it may even be tingling down into the arm, loss of sensation or altered sensation or pain. It may be things like migraines, it may be just not being able to focus, concentrate as much, or it may just be simply pain in your musculoskeletal system in that particular area. So posture quadrant 1 is basically neck and shoulders up, and posture quadrant 2 is the torso, so that kind of kyphotic, rounded posture. So let's address some of this today. So I'm going to, as I go through this, I'm going to be talking about what we're doing and why we're doing it. So you're learning as you go, but please get your PPE on just now. And what I need you to do is just take your box off. You're not going to need this right now. Oh, and then just put it to the side. Remember, just staying away from anybody else that's in the room with you today doing this session. Just try and essentially just avoid each other as much as you can. And in terms of springs, put all of your springs on, because I want your machine to not move. So I want every single spring on that you've got, put it on. And from there, you're going to have your arc. Now my arc is over here. I'll go grab it. Your arc will be at the end of your machine, most likely. So you've put your PPE on, right? And then your straps you don't need, so just throw them into this back area here, the well, just out of your way basically. Your dowel is just going to be the side of your machine here, so you can easily get hold of it should you need it. Now, if you've never used the arc before, this is your big arc. It's nothing to be worried about. It's hollow on the inside. So if for any reason you've got one of the other ones, I don't have one handy, but there's smaller ones. Don't use the smaller ones. Make sure you've got one of these big ones. Now, if you're in the playroom doing this, which I would imagine you are, this will be at the end of your machine. So use that one. When you're putting this on, it's going to go right over your shoulder rest. Make sure your head rest is down flat. It's not in an inclined position. And then you just simply put it right over. Now, it might push back, that's fine, and it can be, it doesn't really matter how it sits, but as long as it's, as you can see on mine, it's nice and flat and kind of flush, isn't it? So that's where I want you to be. So make sure you've got all of that. The dowel is just somewhere where you can reach it easily. And then I want you to just come and stand where you can see me, but where you've got enough space around you that you're not going to hit anything or anyone. So just make sure if you're next to people that they're at the other side of the reformer, you're not in the same vicinity. Okay, so we're keeping that social distance, we're away from each other. What we're going to do here is we're going to check a range of motion at the shoulder joint. Now, many times what happens is we start to lose motion. And you may not be aware that you're losing motion because your body is amazing at compensating as a result of loss of motion. So what can happen, for example, you may be reaching up to a cupboard in your kitchen to get something and you're not having any problem getting up there, but actually you may have lost some movement, mobility of that shoulder joint and not even realised it, and you're still able to get up there because you're utilising other areas, i.e. your back, to facilitate that movement. So we're going to just check where we are with movement. So what I want you to do, pick up your dowel, and I want you to hold your dowel right at the ends of the dowel. So right at the end of it, lift your arms up, and you're pulling the fibres of the dowel apart. And all I want you to do from here is take the arms back without bending the arms. and then bring it forwards. Now, also be mindful that you are not pushing your pelvis forwards as you do this. So you're keeping a nice natural controlling curve of your lower back, and you just go back and forwards, and you're just analysing how that movement feels for you. Now, some of you doing this will be probably laughing and going, oh, some weird, mad, crazy way of getting there, right? That's not how it's meant to look. It should be quite simple, back and forwards. If you're struggling with that, only take it to where you can go and bring it back. But just take note that you're struggling, okay? Does it feel sticky? How does it feel? Does it feel tight? Is there anywhere particular that it feels tight? Now put your dowel down, and what we're going to do, we're going to do a little bit of work on that. So I want you to lie down on your arc and make sure your head is supported on the arc. Now, that will probably mean that you'll need to slide down a bit. Position of head on arc is, there isn't an exact to this because we're all made differently. So if I push myself further back, so let me demonstrate, then my head can still touch that, but I am straining my neck to be in that position. So I don't want you being in a position where you're straining, because all you're going to do is leave here with a sore neck and the tissues will be tense. So you want to be slightly uncomfortable, but not crazy uncomfy. Okay, so you're just slightly taking yourself into a position that feels a bit odd, but it shouldn't feel extremely straining. Hope that makes sense. And it's different for everybody because we all have different mobility of our spine. So you have to find what works for you. But what I'm trying to say to you is this shouldn't just be like lying here watching the telly. There's no, I suppose you are lying here watching the telly, but you know what I mean. It shouldn't feel comfy overly. Now lift your arms up. Now we need to get some movement around the rib cage and the shoulder, so the scapula, the shoulder blades. So what I want you to do, palms of the hands facing each other, I want you to reach up to the ceiling and feel your shoulder blades come away from, basically they're gliding round your ribs and they're coming away from the arc beneath you. And then I want you to then just draw your shoulder blades back down towards the arc, almost as though the inside bits, that kind of what's called the medial border of your scapula, so the inside bit of your shoulder blades are coming together, and then separate them again, and then draw them back, and then separate, and then draw them back. And do that one more time. So this is just a little simple protraction and retraction, but many people lose the ability to do these movements. Some of you might even be like bending your elbows and stuff, trying to get this movement because you've just totally lost that connection. So I don't want you to get annoyed at yourself. Just keep trying to get the shoulder blades gliding round the ribs. Now draw the shoulder blades back now, bring the palms of the hands to face away from you, and go into what I call toy soldier. And here we're just working through mobility of the arms. Okay, that's it, just mobility of the arms. And just close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Sometimes lying down in these lights on you can be a bit annoying, so feel free to close your eyes if you're facing right underneath a big spotlight. Just get some breath with that and just think to yourself, is there one side particularly that feels tighter than the other? And then do both together. So you're both arms up, and then you're just taking it back. Now, if we bring some breath into this, what we would do is we would breathe out on the way back, and we would breathe in on the way forwards. We'd breathe out, and we'd breathe in. So we've just got this nice flow. And then we're going to change this, bring the palms of the hands to face together, and then open your arms out to the side. And you should have enough space between you and anybody in the room with you, but just clearly with the social distancing measures, we just need to be a wee bit mindful of our surroundings and touching. So just feel that stretch through the front of your chest. But as you do this, also just draw your attention to what your ribs are doing. So just be mindful that your rib cage is not sticking up, right? It might want to do that. And especially if you've lost some mobility around your shoulder joint, or if you've got any restriction in that area, you may be picking up movement from your spine to facilitate that restriction. So just draw attention to it. There's nothing wrong with you moving like that, but it's just, why are you moving like that? That's what we're interested in. What's wrong? What's restricted that means that you're having to use tissue in a particular way? Right. Roll your shoulders out. Just release that off. Just take a moment. Okay. Some of you will have found that a little bit uncomfortable. Some of you could lie here all day and you're like, yeah, this is easy. Just take yourself further back. So just a little bit further back and just assess how your spine feels going down on that arc. And if you can you take both arms back like that? Now, some of you, that might give you symptoms going down your arms. If that's you, then just take your arms to the side. Don't allow pins and needles and stuff to develop. Some of you may have impingement already, issues going on there, so just do what you need to do. I am fine with my arms here. Just know that not everybody will be, so you just put your arms to the side if you're not happy here. Now, tuck your chin into your chest, scoop your belly in, bring your arms forwards if they were back, and if they weren't back, just bring them to this position now and just reach forwards and really just feel like you're bringing the shoulder blades, you're separating the shoulder blades, and then staying in this position with your core, draw your shoulder blades back and then reach forwards and then draw your shoulder blades back and then reach forwards and then draw your shoulder blades back and keep your shoulder blades back. Can you lift your right arm up? Just take it to where you can take it and just acknowledge how that feels, and then do the same with the left arm. Lift it up. Can you do both arms together? Now, if you can't, just stick with single arms and only take it to where you can cope. Keeping the ribs connected. Do one more of them. Inhale. Exhale, take it up. And then bring that back. And then just ease yourself back into that extended position. Take your arms overhead and just extend that spine, just getting that release. Just take your arms to where you need to. I quite like a wide V here. I really, with my palms facing up, you can really feel that release of that kind of tissue all the way right underneath my arms. So just play about with that a little bit and just see where you feel you need that stretch. But just be mindful that you're not impinging anything, especially if you've got some symptoms already around the shoulders. Just minimise that. Right, how does that feel? It's kind of odd, isn't it? Sit yourself up. It's kind of an odd one, especially if you haven't used the arc before. There's so many things that we will be doing with the arc as we go through this series with your posture stuff. What I want you to do now is just remove the arc away, okay? And what I'd like you to do is we're going to essentially back bend over the bar. So all your springs are on, which is what you need, and then you want to just spin round so that you're facing the back. You've got your wee sticky mat there, you can use it if you feel like you're going to slide. I'm quite happy here. I don't really need to be sitting on it. So use it if you feel your bum's going to slide. Right, we're aiming for, sorry if there's men doing this, but I'm going to use the term bra line, right, because roughly where your bra sits, we want to position ourselves so that when we lean back against this, that area of our back is in contact with the foot bar. Now, what that may mean is that your bum is actually in the springs. It depends how tall you are. So don't judge it on where your butt is, judge it on where your back is reaching. So if you, for example, were too far forwards and look, I'm a wee up there, that tells me I need to scoot my bum back. So depending on your height, length, will depend on where your butt is. So don't judge yourself on where I am or where anybody else is. Just focus on, is that mid-back in contact with the bar? Right. So there's a few things we're going to do here. What we're going to do, just bring your hands in front, take an inhale breath, and as you exhale, you're just going to start to bend your spine over. And if you feel comfortable, let your head go back as well. Now, not everybody will feel comfortable with that. So if you don't, just keep your head there. Then tuck your chin and then just bring it forwards. And then again, breathe in, breathe out, and then just again, just extend yourself over. Now, if you can, I'm going to reach up to the fancy tree. That might be too much for some of you. Bring your arms forwards, tuck your chin, and lift up. Inhale. Exhale, ease that back. You know, I'm looking out this window just now, it's absolutely pouring. It's something quite nice about that. I don't know. I like the rain. Does anybody else like the rain? I suppose I live in Scotland. I should be used to the rain, shouldn't I? Tuck the chin, bring that back up. We're going to do one more like that. Inhale. Exhale, ease it back. And if you can, take the arms. And I don't know about you as you do this, but are you getting further? I am definitely getting further. Tuck the chin. Well done. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go up the spine. So you're going to scoot your bum forwards just a smidgen. I don't know, can I give you an exact measurement? Again, it just depends on your height, length of your spine. But just scoot forwards a little bit so you're just going further up your spine. See what I'm doing? Hands at the front to start with. Take an inhale breath. Exhale and ease yourself back. And if you can take your head back, take it. And if you can take your arms back, take them. And bring your arms forwards first. Tuck your chin before you come. And then just lean off that. Do that again. Breathe in. Breathe out. Back you go. Always take your time. If you don't feel comfortable with your neck, don't take it. Just leave your neck there. Okay? And you don't need to stay as long. If you don't feel comfortable, just don't stay as long in this, right? Because this is, especially if you've got issues here. Just go on to the next one. Breathing in, breathing out. Then some of you will find this extremely difficult. So some of you might only be at this sort of position. It's okay. You've got to just work within what your abilities are. We're just going to do one more scoot forwards so that you're gliding up the spine. Now, this is so good for forward head posture, thoracic mobility, getting rid of that kyphotic type posture, that kind of rounded shoulders, basically. Okay, inhale, exhale, ease that back, and see if we can take it here. See what you feel. You might hear some creaks and cracks. Creaks and cracks are all right. Bring your arms, tuck the chin. Release your neck, whatever you need to do. 2 more. Breathing in, breathing out, extending back, taking your time with this. There's no rush. You can take your arms to the side and really get that stretch down through that pecs, down through the pecs. Really extending through the middle finger if you wish. If you wish, you don't need to. Tuck the chin. You're going to do one more. So just do one more there. Take an inhale breath. Exhale and extend yourself back. Just one more. Just take it to where you want to go. Bring the arms, tuck the chin, and safely just come to a safe position. Now let's address the neck there, because it's not a comfortable position, is it? I'm not going to lie. There's bits of that just some of you would have really struggled with. So let's deal with what you're feeling there with your neck, because it will have felt quite vulnerable. So what I want you to do is just start by rolling your shoulders back and down. Just roll your shoulders back and down and acknowledge what you feel there. What are you feeling? What do you feel as you do that? Taking it back, down and round. And just keep the shoulders down and then just drop your ear to the shoulder and then bring it back to the other side. Drop the ear. Now, I'm tighter this side. So you're really feeling heavy in the shoulders. So the shoulders are down and you're just taking the ear towards the shoulder. Bring it back. And if you find a side that you are tighter, I've got lots of nice space this side, but my other side is tighter. So if you're like that too, just spend a little bit more time on the tighter side. So feel free. I'm going to spend a little bit of time here, really easing that down. Okay, Now what we're going to do, we're going to do a little bit of release of something called Levator Scapulae, the muscle that lifts your shoulder blades up. It elevates, levator. So what we do is I want you to just look to the side. So you're going to look to your left, and then you're just going to look down. And then this shoulder, which is going to be your right shoulder, you're going to draw that down. Does that make sense? So you're looking that way, but you're drawing down with that shoulder. And just allow yourself to feel that stretch in that neck and shoulder. Now relax, bring that back up. This time look over to your right. Look down. And then draw your left shoulder down. And just breathe. Allow yourself to relax. And bring that all back. And then all I want you to do is just move the neck and shoulders round. Moving that round. And release that off. How does that feel? Get yourself a little drink of water. Take a moment. Just assess how you feel there. With you in a second. And we're going to move on from there. So what we focused on there was really getting some mobility into the arms and the middle of your spine and working, so basically working posture quadrant 1 and 2, so that torso area and your neck and your shoulders. So what I want to do now is let's reassess how the arms are. Let's see if these are moving a bit better. So pick your dowel back up. I want you to reach up and see. Now I'm flying through that, although I didn't have any issues to start with, but some of you probably did. How does it feel, right? So for me, I definitely can notice that I'm a bit looser, just feels freer, but I don't have any pathologies here. I don't have any issues in my upper body. It's all my hips. So how does it feel for you? Is it any better? Hopefully we've got a little bit more movement, okay? Release that off. So it's just good to always retest where you're at. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to move on and strengthen those areas. So we've built mobility. Let's now work on strength. So make sure your straps are up and not tangled, right? So you don't just always get into the habit of checking that they're not crossed over. Put your big loop over the hooks. Now we need to address the springs. So, right, if you have upper body pathology, right, so if you've got stuff going on where you really struggle with your upper body, you're probably going to need a different spring to the person next to you. So let's understand what the springs are. So you've got 2 green springs at either end. Those are your lightest springs. Your yellow springs, you've got 2 of them. Those are your heaviest springs. And your red spring is your middle of the range spring. It's your middle kind of tensile spring. So for this particular exercise, if you wanted to go really light and really easy, you would use a green spring. I am going to use a yellow spring here, just 1 yellow. So if you try that, if everybody tries the yellow spring and see how you get on, but if you find that you're struggling with that, then you could take it down to just 1 green spring. Does that make sense? Now remember, if you're changing your springs, always add the green before you subtract the other spring, so you're not left with your machine without having a spring on it. So if you're struggling with the yellow, take it to a green. Make sense? Right. So let's spin ourselves round. Now, I am really happy sitting like this, but I'm very aware some of you will hate this. If you have tightness and issues in your lower limbs, this is a position that I'd love you to be able to get into, but I'm aware that that might be asking a bit much. So you could, for example, put a wee ball there. That will lift you up. You could just sit cross-legged. Sit however you want, essentially, is what I'm saying. I'm going to leave this ball here. It feels quite good. But essentially just sit so that you're facing the back and that you're comfortable and that you're safe. Now, if you are doing this and you're way up here, I'm not recommending that for this session today, being up there, because 1, it's a bit more dangerous and you might go flying, and 2, it just brings in other parts that it means that you might take away from your upper body. So I'd rather you were just sitting down in your hunkers if you can, but if you really can't, then fine. Now just hold on to your straps. Just be mindful that you're not touching too much. Try and not touch the ropes, given that we're limited to how much we can clean the ropes, so try not to touch them. Now, shoulders back and down. I want you to really focus on that. And I want you to just have the palms of your hands facing the back and control pulling back and forwards. Now, your movement forwards, this part here. So as you go back, we always think that's the bit where you're working. But actually, where the gold is this bit. See where you're resisting the return? That is where the rehab gold dust lives, right? That controlled return, this. Now, I'm not saying this bit isn't important, of course it is, but what most of us end up doing is we pull and then we kind of let it pull us back. Don't we end up like this? I want control in every direction, right? And really glide your shoulder blades together. So we're strengthening these shoulders. We're strengthening that upper body. We've done all the mobility work. Now we're strengthening. We've got to mobilize and we've got to strengthen that up. Easy. Now let's take it into a T. T. Gliding the shoulder blades together. Controlling your machine. Really, as you do this, think about what your shoulder blades are doing. Right, they're coming together. And then bring them back down again. Okay, so you'll be starting to feel this. Be mindful that you're not hunching your shoulders. I know that if I was seeing you in class, I'd be saying this to many of you. Shoulders down, head up. So I want you to really keep thinking about that. Where are my shoulders? They should be down. Where is my ribs? Where are my ribs? I don't want them sticking out. I want control from the core. Back to your T. Can you feel that heat building? Gliding the shoulder blades together, guys. Come on. Gliding the shoulder blades together. Oh. And release that off. Now just put your straps down and come into this position. So we're going to get into a cat and a cow pose. So we're just going to get the spine mobilized. So cat stretch, round up, cow pose, curl the spine and look up. So breathing in, breathing out, round, 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 lift up, 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 and then reverse it. Down, 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 down. Oh, how glorious does that feel? Oh, so good. Is it just me? Really articulating the spine now. So what we're going to do, we're going to do 10 cat. Number your spine 1 to 10. Head being number 1. Your tailbone is number 10. We're going to articulate and move in by number. So let me show you. So head goes down first. We're going to do cat. We're going to get this movement, but we're going to move from 1 to 10. So we move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, tailbone under 10. And then do it 10, 9, 8. Are you ready? Into your cat, we do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Head is 1. Do it again. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Okay, sit back in your hunkers or comfy, wherever you feel comfy, seated. I'm saying comfy. This isn't comfy. I don't want to spend all day here, but, you know, it should be bearable. Right, shoulders back and down. What we're going to do here is we're going to lift the arms up. Now, the palms of your hands rotate, so the palms are facing up to the ceiling. Shoulders have to stabilize you here. Draw your belly button in, and then you're bending and extending through the arms. And again, you are fully in control of that. You are in control of that. You are just bending, extending, bending, extending, keeping it nice and controlled, easy, simple. You are not heaving and releasing like that. You are keeping it all controlled. Whew. Yes. And then from here, right arm goes down, left arm's going to go up. So we twist. And you always twist to the side that you're taking the arm down to. So down we go, lift it up. Last one, and release that off. Back into your cat, round it up, into your cow, and then just sit back into a child's pose. So just ease back and just wiggle through your bottom, easing that out. Just take a moment to allow your body to settle, assess how your arms feel. Just slowly walk your arms back. Just see, how does your neck feel? Now you might feel a little bit sensitive, strained. These kind of words may come to mind. Remember, when you're doing strength work, you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. And especially when you're rehabbing, we get a bit worried about feeling pain, any kind of pain. It's like, oh, I've done something wrong. It's that slowly catch a monkey. You most likely haven't done anything wrong. It's just your pain signals and how you identify the sensations are difficult for you, right? They're just difficult. I'm not saying you don't feel pain, because I get it, you do, but it's about trying to desensitize your nervous system to not think there's threat there. It's kind of normal to feel a wee bit sore after you've exercised. So it's helping you understand that pain or that sensation is an okay sensation. There's no great danger there. So I'm not going to do any more today with you. I want you to just come and stand up. And I want you to just acknowledge your posture. I want you to just take a moment to really think about what you felt in that posture quadrant 1 and 2 there in this session. So what felt tight? What side felt different? What was different about it? Was it tightness? Was it stiffness? Was there impingement? Was there pins and needles? Really start to explore those sensations and what you were feeling. Don't be afraid of movement. But I want you to start to recognize what is your body telling you, and are there daily things, daily habits that you're doing that are possibly contributing to that? Because remember, in terms of changing your posture, we have to have, if we always do what we've always done, we'll always get what we've always got, but also doing random acts will not create a change. So we've got to get into a habit. So if you're continuously doing postural positions, so if you continue to do what you've always done, then the tissue will adapt to that. Your body adapts and becomes what you do daily. So if we don't change that, you coming and doing these sessions are really, we're fighting an uphill battle. We're not going to win that battle. So we've got to really change those habits. So we know that changing posture, we've got to change postural habits. But the first part of changing postural habits is awareness of what you're doing in the first place. So my job is to heighten your awareness of that. So heighten your awareness of what you're doing daily. So whether you keep a little posture diary and you kind of, wait a minute, I sleep that way. I've noticed that when I'm in this position, or I sit for this length of time, or I'm in this chair, or when I'm sitting, I feel like I'm more on the left butt cheek, or I cross my legs always that way. Or so it's these kind of things. Just notice how you move and how you function, right? So just start bringing your awareness up. So that kind of rehab education is a massive part. And to be honest, it's the one that's mainly forgotten about, and why most rehab programs don't work. So we've got to get that rehab education. We've got to have rehabilitation, and this is really where this comes in. So we've got that mobility, which is what we really spent a lot of time on initially. So mobilizing and opening up the joints, and then building the joint strength around. So that was that final part there where we built on the strength. The strength stuff, when you've got pain and discomfort and you've got injuries, tends to be the stuff that you're scared of. But every bit of research out there, when we look at how tendons, soft tissue adapts and moves and rehabs, to the best way to rehab it is through strengthening the tendon through what we call an eccentric contraction. So actually, when you're using the reformer, when you're controlling the springs, that gives you an eccentric contraction. It basically means the muscle, the tendon, is loaded under a lengthening state, and that is where the rehab it's basically the gold standard for rehab. Anytime we're rehabbing somebody, we want to be trying to eccentrically load the tendon. It's exactly what you're doing here, right? So as long as you're controlling your springs, you're doing that. That's really all I need you to worry about, is that you're never out of control with your springs. If you do that, you got that bit nailed. But it's just about that reassurance that you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable, and that knowing that you're okay with that. So just take away from this session, how did you feel? What felt tight? What felt good? What didn't feel good? And try and start to think to yourself, what do I do daily? Why is my body this way? How have I spent the last 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of my life? What has my daily posture been? What's my sleeping pattern been? So it's only when you start to really explore that will we start to actually make some big changes, okay? And because we know where the problem lies, we can start to do something about it. I hope to see you in another session. Please don't forget to wipe your machine down. Please leave your equipment how you want to arrive to it. So think about that person coming to that machine after you. How would you like to arrive to that machine? So leave it that way. Always put your box back on in a long box position. So if I just quickly show you that. So put your box back on your machine so it looks like that. And this box, that little mat goes on top of it. Your dowel and your arc essentially sit right at the end of your machine like that, and your dowel goes inside your machine. Now, this is a bit different to what you're used to. Because of COVID, we're steaming, I wish it was, we're steam mopping in this daily all the time. Essentially, when you're not in, that's what we're doing. So you take all your springs off and you push your machine away up to the back like that, okay, which is totally different to what you're used to, because we would always say never leave your machine without a spring on it. Now we're saying completely remove your springs and push your machine carriage all the way back. It's purely so that we can get in and hoover and then mop in between sessions. So when you arrive at your machine, it will be like this from now on, because we're just trying to make sure that we can get into everything and get it all cleaned. All right, have a fab day, and hopefully you're not too sore after that. And I will see you for another session really soon. Catch you all later.